welcome to Mixology, where we launch each episode with a beverage and discuss how customer education and customer marketing mix together as scale engines to customer success. I'm Christine Cookich, and along with Shannon Howard, we're using this episode to talk about cross functional collaboration and how it can help your practice to break down silos, build bridges, and sometimes act like the Kool-Aid man and break through walls to build collaboration that benefits your customers. We're doing all of this with a fog cutter. Here's the list of ingredients: 1.5 ounces of light rum, 1 ounce of cognac, 1/2 ounce London dry gin, 2 ounces of lemon juice, freshly squeezed, 1 ounce of orange juice, freshly squeezed, 1/2 ounce of orgeat, an almond-based syrup, 1/2 ounce of Oloroso sherry, and garnish with a mint sprig, or in my case, a marinated cherry. Add everything but the sherry to a shaker over ice and shake until you feel it cold. Pour it into a Collins glass and garnish with mint or a cherry. Get comfortable, press play, and let us know what you think in the comments below. This time around, I've got a fog cutter. So that's mostly orange juice, but a little bit of lemon and then alcohol galore. 3 different kinds. Recipes earlier. Go back and watch the recipe again if you need one. And we're really focusing this time on collaboration. One of the themes that we talked about in the last episode was that we are seeing the need to be much more collaborative across the spectrum. And so if we think about that, I came up with 3 pretty straightforward questions, I think. The first is, how do you focus on who should you be working with, right? What teams do you need to work with? And how do you identify those people? And then what methods work best for collaboration? And finally, how do you celebrate that collaboration? How do we let people know that we are grateful for their cooperation and their collaboration in the endeavors that we're putting forth? So let's start with the first one. What do you think in terms of teams, Shannon? Where do we start?
Where we start? Can I say it depends? It depends on what your
Well, you
goals
can.
are, right? Right? Because typically I think we work with customer success, implementation, maybe we work with product teams if we are working with or product marketing if we're doing releases or things around that. But marketing and sales are key stakeholders for customer education and customer success. We should be thinking about, I think we often think the post-sale journey, we don't always think the pre-sale journey. So it depends on what are the goals set out for you. And then also, who are those people around the company who can champion your education programs or your customer marketing efforts? Finding those people, and they may not always be right. I have people who are my internal champions, and they aren't always on a team that I collaborate with a lot, but they just are like, I love what you do and I want to like promote it, right? So finding those people.
Veronica Ruff, when she was at Blackline, used to talk a lot about making your CFO your best friend.
Ooh, that's a
That
that's a good.
great advice, right? Great
That's
advice.
good.
Because collaborating with finance is one of the
Mhm,
easiest ways to figure out where you need to go,
mhm.
because we don't always, because we are on the post sales side of the equation most often, we don't think about what happens on the sales side and pre-sales, right? All of the work that happens with product marketing and demand gen and all of those other guys that are in the marketing realm that really touch people before they hit our cycles and
Mhm.
get started as on the journey on whatever our life cycle is going to look like. And so I think that the for me, when I was really delving into the question of what would I do in terms of teams, it really was, what are the 3 biggest initiatives I have? If I'm at the start of 2024, hopefully I've built a plan. And we said, these are the 3 big things that we're going to focus on this year. This quarter, that means I'm going to do these 12 things. The
Mhm.
team is going to do these 12 things. And for these 12 things, who do I need to collaborate with to make these 12 things successful for
Mhm.
us as a team and for our organization as a whole?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going to start. So that's why it depends, right? Because it
Right.
really depends on what your initiatives are. And if the initiatives are to focus on go to market, right? It's
Mhm.
a new year, it's a new product, it's a new design. is it time to really spend the time on go to market? Then your product marketing is where you need to be. They're the ones that
Mhm.
are going to have that information. They're the ones that are going to be able to share. They are going to have content that you can leverage,
Mhm.
right? Uh, Product itself, your product development team is going to be key. If the goal really is to focus on building out a customer community,
Mhm.
then again, find the right people to help you uh, staff that internally, right? Your CSMs love to be part of customer conversations most often, right? They want to
Right.
be, they're already experts.
Yeah.
Let them showcase the fact that they have that expertise. People from customer education, right? From your implementation teams, right? All
Mhm.
of those in the CX organization, but don't hesitate to go back to sales,
Mhm.
right? They're experienced at selling your product. Let them,
They talk to a lot of people who, even if they haven't been in the weeds of the thing, they are seeing trends because they're talking to probably more people than we are about the thing it is that we do.
I think that's ideal, right? We just, but the it depends part is really dependent on what are your initiatives,
Mhm.
and establish those relationships and don't let go,
Mhm.
right? Don't make them a relationship for this project. Make
Mhm.
it the initiation of a relationship for the duration
Mhm.
of your time there, whatever that means for
Yeah.
everyone, right? Because for two reasons, I think, right? The first is it means it's easier to go back the second time, right?
Mhm.
When you have another ask, you could go back and they're more likely to say yes because
Mhm.
you've kept that relationship strong.
Mhm.
And the second part to that is at some point your paths will diverge,
Mhm.
whether they move on to another organization or they move to another part of the existing organization. The same with you, right?
Mhm.
And keeping them as a solid connection means that you then have an opportunity to reach out to people outside of the existing org, and you've already established that. We were talking a lot about the whole networking and LinkedIn and thing
Mhm.
before, and that's part of it, right? Is making sure that you can keep those connections strong and
Yeah.
don't drop them just because this particular project is over,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So
I mean, basic relationship advice, two-way street, like provide value to people, like be a good friend, and it doesn't have to take a lot because I think sometimes we're like, well, how am I going to have time for these one-on-ones with all these people, especially if you have a large company? You don't have to meet with everybody one-on-one every week, like check in and like send memes. I don't know, like, but build
well,
relationships.
and that brings us to methodologies, right? What methods work best? And it's another, it depends, right?
Hmm.
We
Yeah.
talk a lot in customer education and customer marketing about meet your people where they are.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
Like, go.
sometimes that means you have to create a space for them to congregate in.
Hmm.
I am a huge fan. I'm going to start talking a lot more about this for 2024 is the concept of a content marketplace
Hmm.
and the cross-functional collaboration that's going to be needed to make
Hmm.
something like that successful.
Yeah.
So I believe that creating that aggregate,
Hmm.
a member from every team, I don't know, whatever it looks like, but I think that part of it is really key to helping get started. But I also think that whatever your traditional communication structure looks like internally, right? TI was a Slack house. Everything went through Slack. People would look at me funny when I said I need to put this in an email. It's like, no, you don't, Kristine. Well, yeah, I do because it's really, really long, number one, and I can't do this all in Slack.
Hmm.
And two, I need a record of it. So yeah, I do. But but that's it, right? Should it be an email? Should it be a meeting? Should it be a recorded meeting? Should it be an AI note taken meeting? Should it be you know,
Yeah.
should it be a meme? Is it memeable?
Look, I constantly create memes for people just to make it like more fun if you're gonna touch base or check in on something. But I think, yeah, like go where they are. And again, on the it depends. Like, do you go to the individual person? I find that most people who support the customer in some fashion want to work with you. Like, we're all pretty collaborative people. Most people are not going to stiff arm you if you try to say, hey, I want to improve X, or I want to try XYZ, and I love your support. I'd love to collaborate with you. Most people are going to say, yeah, I would love to, because they see the same problems, but maybe they don't have the skills, or they just don't have the bandwidth to tackle that problem. So of course they want to collaborate. And then other times, yeah, you do have people who don't want to help and don't want to participate, in which case, having an executive sponsor for your program, your function, and then going to the executive of the other team, right? So like, there's some things I don't go to the customer success team always directly, and that's not because they're not friendly people and that I have a good relationship with, but it's like I want that alignment at the highest level of their team on, here's what we want to work on, and here are our priorities, and do you think that your team can commit to this? So then I have their buy-in before I reach out, you know? So I think it depends on probably like the scope of what you're trying to work on, how you reach out to other people.
If we've built strategy effectively,
Mhm.
then some of that level, the higher up level of communication should already exist. Doesn't always happen that way, as we all know.
Yeah.
So be prepared to remind people
Mhm.
of what the goals are and how we are building these goals based on this particular activity that we've decided is important for us as an organization as a whole. Right? We need to be able to tie everything back to what matters in strategy and vision for the organization. We still have to do that, but from a methodology perspective, uh, it's way down the food chain where the work actually gets done.
Mhm.
And so we still need to be able to reach out in the ways that work best for the organization, for the people, and for the customers, right?
Mhm.
Because in the end, we're doing all of this for them.
Mhm.
So that's the starting point. The final point to all of this really is we have a successful collaboration.
Mhm.
How do we effectively celebrate that collaboration? And it's more than just saying thank you, I
Mhm.
think, right? That's not a bad way to start, to be honest. But
Yeah. But like, go big, and well, number one, if you have a performance management software, like, put it in there. Talk about the collaboration, how much you love this person, because then it's on their HR record, right? Who doesn't want something positive? If you do say thank you, CC someone's manager and let the manager know like how great this person is and how much you enjoy collaborating with them, because that is very meaningful, right? Like, who doesn't like a compliment? But the compliment means so much more when like you'll share it with other people and it's on the official record, and now you look great in front of your boss. Um, so those are a few ways. I mean, I have other ones, but how do you like to celebrate
I
people?
like the idea of the one-on-one congratulations. I think that I'm a big I've had a lot of discussions over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 months on LinkedIn. And
Mhm.
truthfully, LinkedIn has a recommendations page. So if your collaboration was successful, not just telling the people internally that it
Mm.
was
Yeah.
successful, but advertising it externally by going into LinkedIn and creating a recommendation on LinkedIn is not a bad way to go as well at that
Yeah.
level. And then there's just the little things, right? The occasional we're in the same town at the same time,
Mhm.
which
Yeah, like,
is challenging, right? In a lot of environments where Shannon and I have never met in person
yeah.
so far. And
No, April. Here we
April,
come.
yeah, April. And so when you are in the same space,
Yeah.
make use of that, right? Leverage
Yeah,
it
grab coffee, grab
to buy
lunch.
somebody a coffee, take them to lunch, just sit down with them in person and chat and catch up. And I think we took one of our episodes, we talked about relationships and building out that personal relationship with your customers, with your employees, with your teams, with your cross functionals. And that's part of it. It's basic relationship building, and take
Mhm.
advantage of the times when you are in person
Mhm.
to spend time with them, in addition to the accolades that come through. And truthfully, if you have a budget, throw a party.
Yeah. Yeah, look, like if you can factor in, like, right, most of us, we might factor in like spiffs, right? So maybe there's spiffs for the sales team, the customer success team for referring customers for advocacy activities, but it can be, yeah, like a party or doing something for them and setting aside some budget to do that, to celebrate the people who are collaborating with you. Um, and then always like, and I see a lot of people doing this more now, which I love to see is when something, when a big new project launches, like doing an internal post and doing an internal announcement about like, hey, like this project, this new course just launched, or this new case study launched, and I want to thank these people, or like wouldn't have been possible without these people, and just highlighting, because I think the other thing that that does too doesn't just celebrate people, but it highlights how critical cross-functional collaboration is to the success of our company and really to the success of any organization, right? There's no like one person shows. You can't
It
just
lets
can't.
everybody know that collaboration is possible,
Mhm,
right? Because sometimes we don't. I am really bad at this. I don't automatically reach out. I
mhm,
should. After all this time, you'd think I would, but I don't. But that's what it shows, is that you can reach out, right? That there is an opportunity. And by seeing someone's name in that post or in that email or on the intranet site or whatever it is that you're working on, those opportunities let other people know that they can reach out to, particularly to the names that were listed, right? If they were
mhm,
willing to collaborate with Shannon on this, they might be willing to collaborate with Kristine on this other thing.
mhm.
So, I think that the celebration is, it's both personal. It needs to be heartfelt thank yous. Gratefulness is always good,
Yeah.
but but it also needs to be public. Uh,
Mhm.
Everybody likes the notoriety that comes.
I mean, there's some people who are like, please don't do anything publicly, but that email to their manager or putting it
Right.
in the
And that's to a
management
certain extent,
system.
that's public
Because
too, right?
it has, yeah, but it has like career value, right? Like a
Right.
personal heartfelt thank you. Like, guys, this is a given. You have to do it. Nobody wants to work with an ungrateful person who just expects everything and is never grateful, right? That's just
Right.
general human principle. But especially in the work environment, we can't underestimate the power that we have as colleagues to lift up, elevate, support other people in their career development by talking about what a great job they did project managing something, or their subject matter expertise, or their product expertise, or whatever it is. That has value for them in their career progression, and like taking the time to help support them in that, which is it's kind of like when we talk about customer advocacy, it's not just, can I offer you an incentive? Can I donate money to a charity for you? But how do I elevate you and your personal brand
Right.
and your
How do I
career?
make you,
That has
how do I make you
value.
better? How do I help you be better?
Yeah. Yeah, like how do I help you grow? How do I elevate your profile? Because that has ultimately like career progression value for people. Yeah.
Completely agree.
Okay. So, we're who we work with, it depends. But there's like a whole host of people that we could and should be working with. And so, when it comes to relationship building, we're reaching out where they are, and building real people relationships. It doesn't have to be weird because it's work or virtual. It can just be
True.
human to human. Yeah.
And then we celebrate that in
Hmm.
every which way that we possibly can.
Yeah.
So it's not hard,
Nope.
but it does take a little bit of planning,
Tiny bit.
right? A little bit. And recognize that you need to spend some time figuring out how your organization works, right? So I worked with one group once that you didn't talk directly to people. It just wasn't the way. It had to go up and down, right? So I had to go to my manager, who went to their manager, who went across the org silos to the other manager, and then down again, so that we could end up talking to get some work done. And it's really not the common thing anymore, but it still does happen. But the idea though is recognize how your organization works and
Hmm.
play within the rules, but don't hesitate to
Hmm.
build those bridges that may not exist.
Mhm.
right? Sometimes organizations silo by default, and they
Mhm.
forget that that the bridge even exists. And what
Mhm.
you do then is you come through and you clear off the brush and look, and you go, oh my gosh, there's a bridge here. Wow. Right? Use the
I
bridge.
like that better than I was calling it Kool-Aid man, like to Kool-Aid man
Oh, right. I'm going
through
through, coming through
into
the wall.
someone's silo. Yeah, I mean that seems it's funny, but also like maybe a little aggressive. I like the bridge, clearing off the bridge, remembering that it's there. I like that analogy better.
There we go. So, that's the idea, right? Figure out how your organization works, clear those bridges, build those connections, and the rest of it will happen,
Hmm.
right? The rest of it
Yeah.
and success will happen.
Hmm.
So, good luck with that.
Yeah.
And I think we're done. Are we done?
Yeah.
You got any more?
No.
All right.
All right.
We'll be back. Bye.